By golly, it's amazing. It sounds like something you'd hear on the radio.
Presenting the transcription feature.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson.
It's 8:30 New York time. Time to wake up, America, and stump the expert.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Johnny Dollar.
Kraft presents The Great Gildersleeve.
And now meet Dick Calmer as Boston Blackie.
It's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, presented transcribed by the makers of Rexall drug products.
And now it's time to meet the men from the ministry.
The Armed Forces Radio and Television Service presents the Bob Hope Show with Les Brown and his band of renown. And yours truly, Bill Goodwin. And now here he is, Bob Hope.
Greetings, I'm Kevin Lauderdale. Let's start off with another episode of Groucho Marx and You Bet Your Life. Two interesting stories here. One of the guests served aboard the USS Saratoga. This was a Navy ship during World War II, which was torpedoed on numerous occasions, and during the Battle of Iwo Jima was attacked by kamikaze pilots, and yet never sank. The crew was always able to effect timely repairs and keep it going. Finally, in 1946, the derelict ship was used for atomic weapons tests at the Bikini Atoll, and it still took 2 hits before it finally sank. Also, in a throwaway line, Groucho calls somebody a bulb snatcher. This is a reference to a series of print ads for GE light bulbs that ran in the 40s. One featured Groucho, there were some featuring Bob Hope, Burns and Allen, Jerry Colonna, Fibber McGee and Molly, lots of old-time radio stars at the time. The ads discuss the evils of bulb snatching, which is when, say, a bulb burns out in your reading lamp. Instead of putting in a brand new one, you go over to your kitchen and take one out of a fixture there. In other words, don't be cheap. Go buy a new box of GE light bulbs and use those. Don't be a bulb snatcher. From November 30th, 1949, You Bet Your Life, the secret word is window.
Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is window. W-I-N-D-O-W.
Really?
You bet your life! Elgin American, creator of America's most beautiful compacts, smartest cigarette cases, magic action lighters, finest dresser sets, presents Groucho Marx in the Elgin American show, You Bet Your Life, the comedy quiz series produced and transcribed from Hollywood. And here's that sterling Elgin American, the one, the only...
Groucho! Nice fellow, known him for years. Hey, that's me, Groucho Marx. Thank you. Well, here I am again with $1,000 for one of our couples. George Fenneman, who gets first whack at it?
Just before we went on the air, our studio audience selected a bachelor and a spinster, and here they are. Mr. Stuart Bowles and Miss Henrietta Adair meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome for Elgin American Compacts. And if one of you says the secret word, he wins a 16-millimeter Apollo Sound movie projector that retails for $129.50. Mr. Stuart Bowles. What sort of work do you do, Stu?
I'm in the investment department of E.F. Hutton & Company, and Mr. Marx's year is the 50th anniversary of the L.A. Exchange.
Is that so?
Yes, sir.
That's your job, huh? You're an investment broker, huh?
That's right, sir.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you wanted to be when you were a boy?
Oh, no, I never thought I'd be that.
Well, no, he was grieving about it. Miss Henrietta Adair, huh? You're the spinster?
Well, if you mean, am I married? Yes, I am.
Don't you like being called a spinster?
Well, I prefer unmarried.
Okay, unmarried. Where are you from?
Houston, Texas.
You're from Houston? How long have you been a spinster? I mean, unmarried.
That's sort of a difficult question to answer, Mr. Marks.
Well, it wasn't an easy question to ask, either. Well, I'll try to make it easier. At what age does a girl become a spinster? Not you, I mean, any girl.
Oh, around 30. About 30.
And how long has it been since you were 30?
You're just trying to find out how old I am, Mr. Marks.
Well, that's the general idea, yeah. Mr. Stewart, how old are you?
Oh, I'm about the same age as she is.
Well, you're a pretty cagey pair. Now, George has the perfect gifts from our sponsor.
For Miss Adair, this lovely engraved dresser set by Elgin American. It's finished in rich silver, the finishing touch for your dresser.
Beautiful, and I don't have one.
For Mr. Bowles, Elgin American's popular cigarette case with today's smart leather-like look.
Now, Stu, why haven't you married, huh? A young, jovial-looking fellow like you?
Well, I guess it's the old saying, he travels fastest who travels alone.
I see. Well, what's your hurry, huh? Do you know, Henrietta, do you know any little proverbs that would put Speedy here in his place?
Well, a stitch in time saves 9.
You mean he's coming apart at the seams? I think she's just giving you the needle here, Stu. Now, Henrietta, getting back to the subject of romance, why is it you haven't married?
Well, I suppose I just didn't take advantage of my opportunities.
Well, I think opportunity is knocking right now. On the other hand, it might be his knees knocking down. Well, tell me, Lightning, what qualifications are you looking for in a wife?
Well, I'd like her to be attractive and thoughtful, economical and considerate.
That doesn't sound like too much. Would you say you're economical, Henrietta?
I think I am.
Well, according to him, that only means how many miles do you get to a gallon. Now, in just 1 minute, you're going to work together as a team for $1,000. But right now, here's some advice you both will benefit by.
The gift of a compact is very, very good. But a compact set is better. Elgin American makes them best. It's the gift you ought to get her. Compact, lighter, and cigarette case, designed to go together, are the smartest accessories you could give. And impress her, will they ever?
Now there's a wonderful Christmas gift idea. An Elgin American compact with cigarette case, lighter, or both, designed to go together will thrill any woman. Make her look so fashionable with matching accessories. They're exquisitely styled, finished, and crafted in the Elgin American manner. And they're real values from $9.95. $6.95 for American Beauty companion sets. Come in sterling silver, too. Tomorrow, buy an impressive compact set with matching cigarette case, lighter, or both to make that special woman specially happy this Christmas. A first in fashion, first in value compact set by Elgin American.
Now then, let's see if you two will get a chance at the $1,000 question. You're going to play You Bet Your Life on them and bring them up to date on the rules.
Each of our three couples has $20. They bet as much of that 20 as they want in each of 4 questions. The couple that earns the most money gets a chance at the $1,000 question at the end of the show.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected famous racetracks as your category, right? Now, here's your first question. How much will you bet? You have $20.
$5.
$5. In what state is Bay Meadows Racetrack?
California.
California is right.
They're on their way with $25.
Remember, this is just chicken feed. You're going for $1,000 tonight, and that's the big prize. Now, how much of the 25 will you try?
15.
How much?
15.
15. In what state is Hialeah Racetrack?
Florida.
Florida's correct.
They're climbing. They have $40.
All right, you're climbing. You got $40. Here's your third question. How much of the 40 are you going to try?
30.
$30. Where is the Saratoga Racetrack?
New York.
New York is right.
They're really on their way now. They have $70.
How much of the 70 are you going to try?
50.
$50. In what state is Churchill Downs Racetrack?
I don't know.
Kentucky.
In old Kentucky.
And they wind up with $120.
Henrietta, you did fine. Thanks and good luck from Elgin American Compacts. Now, don't wander off. You're still in the running for the big prize.
Groucho, the secret word is still window.
It is, George.
Yes, and perhaps the next couple will say it. We asked if there were any salesmen here tonight, and just before we went on the air, the studio audience elected Mr. Paul Chalfont, and for his partner, Mrs. Jean Reynolds, a housewife. And here they are. Folks, meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome for Elgin American Compacts. And if one of you says the secret word, he wins the 16-millimeter Apollo Sound movie projector. It's a common word, something you see every day. Mrs. Jean Reynolds, that's right?
Yes, sir.
What does your husband do, Jean?
He's a real estate salesman.
Mm-hmm. Where are you from?
Right in the heart of Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any children?
Yes, I have, too.
You have two? Well, how many do you have? How did you meet your husband?
I met him at a wedding.
At a wedding?
Yes, sir.
Yours?
No, it wasn't mine. We were dancing. And I was dancing with this fellow, and we were very close to the orchestra. And he tried to do some of these fancy stunts. And he swung me, and before I knew it, I fell right in the drum. The fellow said, well, hurry up and get out of my drum so I can see what damage you've done.
What did he say? I got you under my skin?
Well, I was so embarrassed, and I said, just take my name and address, and I'll be glad to compensate for it. So he kept coming over my house, and he never got any money. And finally, he forgot all about his drum, and I figured it would be cheaper to marry the guy than buy him a new drum.
Now, salesman, Chalfont, is that right?
That's right, sir.
What do you sell?
I sell washing machines and ironers.
Are you a traveling salesman?
I'm a salesman, but not a traveling salesman.
I see. Well, that's logical. I do some farming, but I'm not what you'd call a farmer's daughter. Who do you work for?
I work for Thor Corporation.
Is that Thor? Now, what do they Thor?
No.
Now, let's cut out the baby talk. Who do you work for?
Thor, Thor, Thor Corporation.
Oh, I see. Would you like to send one of your machines over? I'd like to rinse out that spot announcement you just made. Tell me, Soap Suds, how is the washing machine? How is the washing machine game or business?
We are cleaning up.
I bet you've used that one before, huh?
Yes, honestly, I have.
Mm-hmm. Salesmen always tell little jokes like that, don't they? You have any other little yaks that you spring on the customer?
Well, there's another one I usually break the ice with, and that's about the couple that were in the iron and steel business. She ironed and he steals, you know.
Well, that must break the ice right over your head, I wonder. Are you sure that joke didn't go through your washing machine?
Well,
at least through the ringer?
It's clean anyway.
Hey, he's got a pretty good line at that this Does anything exciting ever happen to you, Mr. Chalfont?
Well,
pretty fancy pronunciation. I think that means salami in French. Anything exciting ever happened to you,
yes,
Paul D. Saloon?
I had a rather exciting experience here last week,
You did?
Boss and I returned from a fishing trip. We returned home, and he found out he'd lost his keys, so he decided I would be the one to crawl through the window.
Well, Paul, you said window, and that's the secret word. Joyce, tell him what he wins.
A 16-millimeter Apollo sound movie projector. Now you can show regular Hollywood sound movies or movies you take yourself. It sells for $129.50.
All right, you stuck your foot through the window. Now pull it out and let's get back to business, huh?
Well, I got in, but I also found out the missus, wouldn't answer the door.
Who's missus?
The boss's wife. And after I got inside, I found out that he put me through the bathroom window, and the reason why she hadn't come to the door that she was taking a shower.
Well, she should have stayed in that Thor washing machine. Well, you're an interesting and amiable couple, and we're happy to have you here. Now, we have some ideal gifts from our sponsor.
For Mrs. Reynolds, pearls for you. Elgin American's beautiful simulated pearls. They're the finest pearls made by man. I'm sure you'll enjoy them.
Thank you. They're exquisite.
And for Mr. Chalfont, this
Chalfont.
For Mr. Paul, this slim, sleek, sterling silver cigarette case by Elgin American, handsomely engraved as you'll notice. How do you like it?
Wonderful.
Now you're going to play You Bet Your Life for $1,000. Run your $20 into more than the other couples, and you get the chance at the big question later. Fenneman's offstage to remind our listeners how much the first couple won.
The bachelor and the spinster won $120.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected Presidents of the United States as your category. Now, here's your first question. You've got $20. How much you going to try?
$10.
$10. What was the name of the president who in 1919 tried to lay the foundation for everlasting peace?
Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson is right.
And they're off to a good start with $30.
Woodrow Wilson, sometimes known as Alexander Knox. You now have $30. Remember, you're going for $1,000 tonight, and that's the big prize. How much of the 30 are you going to try?
$20.
Okay. What was the name of the president who drafted the Declaration of Independence?
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson is right.
They now have $50.
You should have known that, Mrs. Reynolds. There's a street in Chicago named Jefferson, isn't there? All right, you've got $50. Here's your third question. How much of the 50 are you going to crack?
$40.
$40. What was the name of Lincoln's successor? He was the only president to be impeached.
Johnson. Andrew Johnson.
Andrew Johnson is correct.
They're really on their way now. They have $90.
Andrew Johnson was one-time heavyweight champion of the world. All right, you've got $90. Here's your last chance to beat the other couples. How much of the 90 are you going to go for? And no coaching.
$70.
$70. What was the name of the vigorous president who was a hero in the Spanish-American Wars, head of the Rough Riders?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt is right.
And they wind up with $160.
Thanks and good luck from Elgin American Compacts. Now, in just 1 minute, our last couple will play You Bet Your Life, and then we know who gets the $1,000 question. What an auctioneer item, eh? But right now, listen to this.
Oh, I forgot my lighter.
Here, take mine. My wife's always borrowing it, too, so I'm giving her one for Christmas.
Say, that's a beauty. What kind is it?
Elgin American's new Socialite.
Yes, everybody goes for Elgin American's terrific new lighters, and they make terrific Christmas gifts. So beautifully designed and finished, they look like jewelry, and they work like magic. Have a magic action double catch that's new, different, safe, and the most modern sure-fire mechanism ever made. Yet these last word Elgin American lighters for men and women are priced from just $4.95. Table models from $9.95. Values beyond compare. Tomorrow, buy these very finest lighters for every smoker on your Christmas list and give them the light of their lives. Socialite lighters by Elgin American.
All right, we'll soon know who's going to earn the most money and get the chance at the $1,000 question. George, who's leading at this point?
Well, the salesman and the housewife are leading with $160. Our final couple doesn't know the secret word is window because they've been in a waiting room off stage. We invited some people with unusual occupations to be at the show tonight, and our judges selected these two to be on the program. And here they are, Mr. A. Eugene Mosier, an explorer, and Mr. Joseph May, a lighthouse keeper. Gentlemen, meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome for Elgin American Compacts. And if one of you says the secret word, he wins an Apollo Sound movie projector instantly. It's a common word, something you see every day. Mr. Joseph May, you're the lighthouse keeper?
Yes, sir.
You're a cute little rascal. Where you from, Joe?
I'm from Carnarvon.
Carnarvon?
Yes, sir.
Where is that?
Northern Wales.
In Northern Wales, huh? Yes. Can you speak Welsh?
No.
Are you married?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're married, why are you doing light housekeeping?
Well, the wife, she does the light housekeeping, and I just look after the light in the lighthouse.
Oh. Now, how'd you meet your wife, Joseph?
I met her in Raymond, Washington, in a skating rink. She bumped into me, I think.
You're not sure, huh?
I am now, yes.
Just where is your lighthouse?
Point Vincente.
Where's that?
It's located so that it protects the entrance going into Los Angeles Harbor.
Now, why does the harbor need protection? I thought it was the ships that needed protection.
Well, we protect the ships as well.
You don't care about the harbor anymore now. My, but you're fickle, Joe. Suppose your light can't be seen. How do you warn ships?
We have a fogo when we start up.
And suppose that fails.
We have a standby fog signal that's operated by a gas engine.
And suppose that fails.
We're out of commission.
And how much commission do you get? Mr. Mosier, is that the way you pronounce it?
Mosier.
Mosier, huh? Where are you from? You're the explorer, huh? Where are you from originally?
Alexandria, Virginia.
Where have you been?
Where haven't I been?
No, I asked you first now. Where have you been?
About every country in the world, every place.
It's hard to believe. You mean there isn't a single place you haven't been?
That's right, there isn't a single place I haven't been.
How about the ladies' lounge at the Union Station? What do you say to that? Huh?
Oh, you got me there.
Well, if I have, I'm going to get out of there, too. How long have you been exploring?
Oh, exploring, adventuring, about 31 years.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's the most interesting place you've ever been?
Tibet.
Tibet?
That's
what
right.
time did you go to Tibet? Do you remember?
Oh, get along.
Tell me, how did you become an explorer? Did you get lost in a revolving door when you were a boy? Huh?
Oh, I guess it was born in me. My godfather is Aloysius T. Smith, and better known as Trader Horn.
How did it happen he was your godfather?
Well, he happened
Did he
to
get you in a trade or something?
No, he happened to be down in Virginia when I was born, and he's a very good friend of my father, so my father named me Aloysius Eugene Francis Xavier Joan of Arc Vincent Irish Patrick Mosier.
No wonder you keep traveling, huh? By the time you register in a hotel, it's time to get up in the morning. Have you any odd experiences that you'd care to relate?
Well, I guess the biggest adventure was when I almost got married in Arabia.
Oh, that'd be an adventure anywhere, huh?
Yeah.
Who to?
Oh, 6 Arabian girls.
Cheaper by the dozen, eh?
You see, I went down there and saved some girl from some bandits or something. She took me home and introduced me to harem, and I liked the looks of what I could see of them, and I asked each one to marry me. And there was a law that you couldn't look under the veil before you married them, so I lifted up the veil and they threw me out.
Did the 6 of them throw you out, or one at a time, huh?
A couple guards.
Whole thing sounds pretty harem-scaring to me. Well, tell me, Itchy Feet, what was your most exciting experience besides the Arabian debacle?
I guess it happened when I was on the Saratoga. Good old ship that couldn't go down. And was on there, and Admiral Halsey was then captain, and Admiral Mitchell was executive officer. And I walked down the deck with my mind on some blonde over in Long Beach. Might have been a redhead. I didn't see the executive officer and didn't salute him. He jumped me. He said, Mosier, you salute an officer when you see one? I said, yes, sir. My mind's on a blonde over in Long Beach. He says, up, go put yourself on report. I figure out, well, if I got on report, I couldn't go over to Long Beach to see that girl. So I just didn't put myself on report.
Did the Saratoga always cruise around Long Beach?
A good share of the time.
No wonder they couldn't sink it.
You know, comes Captain Mass, and the captain sent for me, Halsey. He says to me, he says, Commander Mitchell, say, put yourself on report. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, why didn't you do it? I said, I just reconsidered the matter and decided to give myself another chance. He let me go.
Well, you're certainly a good sailor, all right. Now, tell me, Bub Snatcher, who owns your lighthouse? Is it a government housing project? No, it's one of the facilities of the United States Coast Guard.
Oh. Well, what are some of the other Coast Guard services?
Well, there's a lifeboat station and sea and air rescue, weather patrol, ice patrol, and things like that. Mm-hmm. The Coast Guard is putting out an opportunity now for single young men between the ages of 17 and 22. They have a chance to go through the Coast Guard Academy.
You lost me by a half a century. Huh? Now, how high is your lighthouse?
194 feet above mean low tide.
Well, how do you get upstairs? Do you float up on the tide?
No, we have 72 stairs.
72 steps?
Yeah.
How do you know there are 72 steps?
Well, I've counted them every day.
You still doubt it, huh? Well, why do you count them every day, Joe? Is that all there is to do then?
No, we have other things to do, such as...
I know where you can get 6 Arab girls. By now, maybe you can get them without the veils. Is that all you do, count the steps?
No, we have the maintenance of the station to do, the machinery to keep up, books to take care of.
What do you mean books to take care of?
Well, the bookwork, I mean.
Well, what kind of bookwork?
Well, there's all different kind. You know what bookwork there is to do in a government. The government couldn't keep
income tax, I know, but I didn't... What do? Do you count every wave that comes in or something? And then you count the undertow on the way out again? And send the whole thing to Washington? They tear it up and raise the taxes. Huh? Now, it's most instructive having you both there. I learned a lot. I learned that there were 72 steps in the lighthouse. And I learned that you mustn't lift a veil on an Arabian beauty. Huh? Now, before we proceed, George, is your ideal gift from our sponsor.
For Mr. Joseph May, the lighthouse keeper, Elgin American's Smart Compact with a new curved square shape and the unusual two-tone engraving. His wife will love it.
Sure, thank you very much, Mr. Mark.
Why, it's a pleasure to give it to you, Mr. May.
For the Explorer, Elgin American's popular cigarette case with a rich green leather look, something he'll be proud to show off in all his travels.
Now you're going to play You Bet Your Life. You beat our other two couples, you'll get a crack at the $1,000. I can't tell you how much they won, but George is off stage to remind our listeners.
The salesman and the housewife are ahead with $160.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected leaders in our government as your category. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Here's your first question. You have $20. How much will you bet?
$10.
Who is the Secretary of State?
Dean Acheson.
Dean Acheson is correct.
They're on their way with $30.
Remember, you're going for $1,000 tonight. You've got $30. How much will you bet?
$20.
$20. Who is the Attorney General?
Tom McGrath.
J. Howard McGrath, but that's
J.
close enough. You got the last name, so you win that.
They're climbing. They have $50.
They're climbing. You got $50. Here's your third question. Are you ready? How much you going to bet?
40.
40? He doesn't even ask, the lighthouse keeper. He's the captain of this scow, all right. $40. Who is the director of the Mint?
The director of the Mint is Cruz Snyder is Interior. You got me up there.
I'm sorry, it's Nellie Taylor Ross. That's a pretty tough one, though.
They now have $10.
Well, you've got $10, and here's your last chance to beat the other couples. How much of the 10 are you going to try?
$10.
Who heads the Federal Bureau of Investigation?
Hoover.
J. Edgar Hoover is right.
And they wind up with $20. And that means the salesman and the housewife, with $160, get the chance at the $1,000 question. And now, a word from Myron Wallace.
Elgin American simulated pearls in a handsome satin-lined jewel box of gold-like jeweler's bronze. Ah, gentlemen, there's a gift to thrill her soul. A gift to make you seem the most wonderful man in her world. Yet this bountiful, beautiful gift is easy to give. Lustrous, glowing Elgin American pearls in a luxurious jewel box start at only $10. Others up to $20. Buy them for her tomorrow. Elgin American simulated pearls.
And here's the winning couple, Groucho, the housewife and the salesman.
Ready to try for $1,000, eh? Good luck, and I'll give you 15 seconds to decide on a single answer between you, so talk it over thoroughly and no help in the audience, please.
The Republic of Liberia is patent in government after the United States. They even honored one of our presidents by naming their capital city after him. What is the capital city of Liberia? Mr. Chalfont, as the Speaker of the House here, what is the answer you two have decided upon?
Lincoln?
No, I'm sorry. It's Monrovia after President Monroe. I'm sorry. So that means the big question next week will be worth $1,500. Well, you lost the big money, but you won $160 in cash, and you received those lovely gifts from Elgin American. Congratulations, and thanks to both of you. Thank you.
The Elgin American Show, You Bet Your Life, is a John Goodell production. Transcribed from Hollywood, directed by Bob Dwan and Bernie Smith. Music by Jerry Fielding. Remember, next week's big question pays $1,500. Be sure to tune in again next Wednesday night at this time for You Bet Your Life, starring Groucho Marx. Presented by the creators of America's most beautiful compacts, smartest cigarette cases, magic action lighters, and finest dresser sets. Elgin American.
Good night, folks. Have you looked at your compact lately? Now, don't tone the dial. Bing Crosby's next, you know. And then comes Burns and Allen. Good night.
Let's return to the days of the Dons in old California with Romance of the Ranchos. When you think of Southern California, which is where the historical vignettes in Romance of the Ranchos take place, you usually don't think of the islands just off the coast. But there is a tiny archipelago of 8 islands, collectively called Channel Islands, which run from Santa Barbara, north of Los Angeles, down to Long Beach. Half of them are tiny and uninhabited. Some of them are under the control of the U.S. Navy. San Miguel Island, the northernmost, was used as a bombing range during World War II. And if you've ever read Scott Odell's book, Island of the Blue Dolphins, about a girl growing up alone on an island, that takes place on the most remote of the Channel Islands, San Nicolas. And that story will be mentioned in this broadcast. The most famous of these islands, the only one with a city, about 4,000 people live there, is Santa Catalina Island, usually just called Catalina. On a clear day, you can see it from Los Angeles and other points south. It's the one the 4 preps sing about. 26 miles across the sea, Santa Catalina. Many tourists visit there, and you can take a ferry or a private plane to get out there. The main attraction is the small town of Avalon, named after the place in Arthurian mythos, where the sword Excalibur was forged, and where King Arthur is buried. Avalon can be seen in the 1966 Doris Day comedy The Glass Bottom Boat, and in the 1967 film Catalina Caper, starring Tommy Kirk, which if you've seen it all, it's because you've seen it on Mystery Science Theater 3000. The island had been inhabited by Native Americans for thousands of years before the coming of the first Spanish in the 1500s. Then it was part of a Mexican land grant in the 1800s, and then it was owned by a series of wealthy Americans. The Wrigley family, of Wrigley gum fame, owned the entire island for quite a while before donating most of it to the Catalina Island Conservancy in 1972. In 1942, when this episode was broadcast, the island was soon to come under the control of the U.S. government, which would use it for military training, everything from radar testing to underwater demolition. You'll hear talk of, quote, Indians being removed from the islands and, quote-unquote, civilized. There is no doubt that the coming of the Europeans to the islands, as well as to the mainland, destroyed the native culture, and the diseases the Europeans carried killed off many of the first Americans. From February 4th, 1942, Romance of the Ranchos, the island of Santa Catalina and the Channel Islands.
The Romance of the Ranchos,
Santa Cruz Island, 1542.
Discover of California buried on Lonely Island.
Santa Catalina Island, 1805.
Smugglers anchor in harbor of Avalon.
San Nicolas Island, 1870.
Find woman lost 20 years on Lonely Island. The Title Insurance and Trust Company of Los Angeles presents The Romance of the Ranchos, a weekly dramatization of the colorful history which is the heritage of our Southern California. Each week, our wandering vaquero, Frank Graham, returns to tell a true story of romance and adventure in the days of the Dons. It's businesslike to protect your interest in land with a policy of title insurance. It's just as businesslike to safeguard your family's financial future with sound investments. And there's no sounder investment today than United States defense bonds. Even if these bonds paid no interest, they would still be the wisest of investments. For the money realized is our nation. And without that victory, no other investment that you have made or can make will be safe. So buy defense bonds and stamps early and often and regularly. Don't put it off. Make a down payment on victory tomorrow. Now here to tell us the story is our wandering vaquero, Frank Graham.
Buenas noches, señoras y señores. Our story tonight is concerned with one of the great forces which helped to bring Americans to California, the sea otter trade, and with the principal locations of that industry in the Channel Islands off the coast of Southern California. And since it is closest to us here, our story will have for its principal setting the lovely island paradise of Santa Catalina. It's a story rich in the romance of the Ranchos. Long before the white man braved the hardships of a land exploration north from Mexico, the hardy seamen of Spanish frigates put forth into uncharted waters and won the honor of exploring the coast which was to become our California. In the year 1542, north from Natividad came two tiny ships, their courageous crews unprotected from the waves even by a deck, their commander unsure of what dangers lay ahead, but courageously pressing forward, northward, to claim land and glory for the King of Spain. His name, Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo.
Capitan Cabrillo.
See?
I don't like the looks of these clouds. And the wind looks like a storm, a bad one.
See?
There's narrow channel here, between the islands and the mainland. It's no place to be caught in a storm. We could easily be driven onto the rocks.
See? We shall put into that cove on the island.
See, it'll do. We'd better get into it as soon as possible. No one knows how furiously the wind may blow in these waters.
Very well. Turn her in, helmsman. Do you have an idea what part of the world we are in?
See, according to my calculations, this must be one of the Molucca Islands, just this side of China. See, we should sight the coast of Cathay before many days.
Perhaps. In that case, these natives that line the shores of the cove must be of the Chinese race, of which we have heard so much.
Huh? Line the shore?
See, look, hundreds of them.
Oh, mi Capitan, I don't like this. They may be savages. We may be killed, massacred.
Oh, no, for the Chinese are a friendly race. Surely you've heard that. And if your calculations are correct...
Oh, but I could be wrong, perhaps.
See, you are wrong. They are Indians, such as we know in Mexico. This is not China, amigo, but still Alta California.
Well, then they are savages. We most surely will be massacred.
I don't think so, for see, they hold up their hands in welcome. They come in their boats to meet us. Now, here at last we'll find a resting place from the fury of the waves here on this island paradise, which we shall claim for our great King of Spain.
Into today's harbor of Avalon on Santa Catalina Island sailed Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo, intrepid commander of Spain, to be greeted by the tribe of friendly Indians who made it their homes. He named the island San Salvador in honor of his flagship. After resting at the same cove which is the Mecca of gay vacationers today, Cabrillo again set sail north. Soon he came to a group of 3 islands, and anchoring in the harbor of one, named it San Miguel. Today it is called Santa Cruz, the lovely isle off the coast of Santa Barbara. Here they stopped for rest among the seemingly friendly Indians. But one day, the stillness was shattered.
Capitan Cabrillo, what was that?
Shouts, they seem to come from the shore.
Look, Capitan. It's our party of sailors. They're being attacked by the Indians. Look.
Quick, men, over the side, into shore. Hurry! If we're to save them, we must hurry. All right, men. Here's the shore. Up and over the rocks. Hurry after them.
Watch out, Capitan. Those rocks are slippery.
After them, men. After them.
Capitan Cabrillo, look out! Capitan Cabrillo! Capitan, amigo, are you hurt?
I don't think so.
That was a pretty nasty spill on those rocks here. Let me help you get up.
Give me your hand.
Capitan, what is it?
It's my leg. My leg, it's broken.
In those days, long before the use of antiseptics, the shattered shin bone of Cabrillo was a serious thing. Nevertheless, in pain but undaunted, Cabrillo pointed the prow of his little vessel north once more. Up the coast to Monterey Bay, to great San Francisco Bay, and beyond he sailed. Only severe storms caused him to turn back, to run for shelter down the coast. But there was another reason for the gloom that enveloped the 2 tiny ships.
Helmsman, is not that island San Miguel?
Si, senor, it is.
Then we shall put in there.
Put in? I mean, drop anchor in that place where...
See, or it might be a fitting place to leave him.
Then he's...
See, failing fast. It is the gangrene in his injured leg. It won't be long. Capitan Cabrillo is dying.
Amigo, our ship, we're not moving.
No, we're anchored, safe in harbor.
You stop for me.
No, for the storms. They blow us off our course. We'll wait here for more favorable wind.
You stop here for me, for I'm going to die.
Mi amigo, you must not say that. You'll be all right.
Mi amigo, I'm going to die. I know that too. And you shall bury me here on these lonely islands, this new land we have found.
Mi Capitan, you must not think so.
It's all right, mi amigo. I'm not afraid. I could not ask for much more. To be buried here in this great new country to be that we have found.
Mi Capitan.
See, it is well. I only regret that I cannot go on, claim more of this vast coast for His Majesty. I ask but one thing, that you, my good navigator, will go on. When I'm no more, you must go on, sail north and farther north for me.
I promise you, mi Capitan.
Then all is well, and my work will be finished.
On the lonely island of Santa Cruz, then called San Miguel, they laid the mortal remains of Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo, the first white man to set foot on the shores of Upper California. There today his bones still lie, lost under mountains of shifting sand, unhonored for the important part he played in California's history. It was over half a century before another white man sailed north to visit the islands off the coast and anchor in the little harbor on the island Cabrillo called San Salvador. It was in the year 1602, and the explorer was Sebastian Vizcaino. It was he who spoke the words,
"In honor of the martyred St. Catherine, on whose name day it is pleased the good Lord to grant us this safe harbor, I name this island Santa Catalina, and claim it in the name of Philip, King of Spain."
And now, after the visit of Vizcaino, 100 years were to pass before the first American sailed into these waters. Years after the mainland of Southern California had borne fruit under the hands of Spanish settlers. These Americans were the hardy seamen from the Leela Bird, Captain William Shaler in command, and these fur traders immediately became involved in an international incident of some consequence. As they were anchored in the Bay of San Diego on board the Leela Bird in the dead of night.
All right, men. Over the side.
You mean, Captain Shirley, you're actually going to send in that boat of supplies?
Of course. Californians on the shore waiting to trade them furs.
But it's against the law. It's smuggling.
Ah, smuggling. Spain is just trying to keep out other countries, smother foreign trade. People pay no attention to the law. Even the commandant winks at our trade, if it's not too obvious.
All the same, I don't like it. The commandant might be in a bad mood.
Yeah, we'll worry about that later. Over you go. Get to the shore, be as quiet as possible.
All right, men, this is the place. Ease her in. All right, make her fast. Start unloading this stuff. Californian should be here any minute. Easy there. Don't make any more noise if you can help. We don't want the guard down on us. No use taking any chances. Oh, here come the men we're to see now. Hi there. Over here, over here.
Gracias, senor. You're kind enough to give us your exact position. Now put up your hand.
What do you mean?
You're under arrest.
And they're holding them on the beach until morning. It's only a small guard. We can free them easily. So into the boats, men. We have a little fighting to do. Quiet. Work up the beach slowly. Got them surrounded. When I give the word, fire your guns in the air, and we'll scare them into surrendering. All right, after them! Up with your hands, senores! You're surrounded! Right, men. With your rescue party. Up with your hands, senores! That's right. Now, there'll be no trouble if you just let my men go back to their ship.
But there will be trouble, senor. Plenty trouble. You cannot do this. You're defying the government of Spain.
And what will the government of Spain do about it?
You will see, senor, when you try to sail out past the guns of the fort.
Captain Sailor, you're not going to try it.
You bet I am. What else are we going to do? Stay here in the harbor and let them arrest us all?
But the mouth of the harbor is narrow. We'll have to sail within 100 yards of the gun.
We've got guns, too. We got them all lined up on the port side, ready for action. We'll get by all right.
I hope so.
It's almost dawn now, so we might as well make a run for it. All right, men. Up all sail!
We're almost opposite the fort, sir.
Keep her on this tack.
They're shooting, sir.
But their aim isn't so good. That one was short.
Shall we reply?
Not yet. Sail right in. Hold your fire until we're directly opposite. Then give them a full broadside.
Yes, sir. It's going to be mighty close, Captain.
I'm not worried, sir. We'll get by. They haven't hit us yet, anyway.
No, but we're almost even with the fort. Shall I give the order?
No, not just yet, sir. Another moment. Yes. There. All right, sir. That did do it, sir. Look at them running away from the guns. Now we have a clear passage out, and we're safe.
Captain Shaler's smuggling activity was characteristic of the times. Spain, in an effort to keep foreigners out of California, forbade trade. But the Californians wanted it, as did the ships of all nations. So, half-legitimate smuggling and evasion of customs went on for many years. But trade was only a side issue. The magnet which drew the ships of the world to California coast was the little animal which abounded among the Channel Islands, the sea otter. Together with the seals, these animals made millions for the early sailors. That was why Captain Shaler was impressed with Catalina Island when he stopped there to repair his ship.
Look, sir, look. The water's alive with them.
Yes, I've certainly never seen so many seals at one time. That rock out in the harbor is covered with them.
But not only seals, sir. There are hundreds of sea otters, too. You know what the skin of a sea otter brings in the markets of Canton?
No, sir. How much?
$40, sir. And on up. And here they are to be had by the hundreds. My friend, these islands will bring us a fortune.
The sea otter trade flourished for many years around Catalina Island. The traders from Russia, England, the United States, and many other nations reaped fortunes. They hired the Indians to hunt the otters all year. They pegged them with glass beads, knives, or rusty chisels for 100 furs valued at thousands of dollars. Finally, the supply was so depleted that the profits dwindled, and once more the Channel Islands were left in their solitary beauty. But civilization had come to Southern California, and in July of 1846, a small party of people, including Captain Thomas Robbins of Santa Barbara, landed on the shores of Catalina. Robbins was beside himself with joy.
Man alive, just look at it. Isn't it the most wonderful place in the world? I can hardly believe it. But here it is. Here's the governor's grant right here in my hand. Santa Catalina Island is mine. It belongs to me.
Several times on these programs, we've referred to the fact that issuing title insurance policies requires highly skilled, thoroughly trained personnel. Here's an example of why this is true. Let us say that the title examiner is examining the documents comprising the recorded history of the ownership of a particular piece of land. One link in that chain of title is a deed which Smith, the record owner in 1938, executed to Brown. The form, signature, and acknowledgement fulfill all legal requirements. From an inspection of the records, the deed appears to be valid. But the examiner knows that the deed may be absolutely void if any one of certain conditions existed in connection with its execution or delivery. If, for example, the deed was stolen by Brown or any other person and recorded without proper delivery, or if the deed was executed in blank and Brown's name inserted without Smith's written authority, or if Smith was under the age of 18, even though he appeared older, or if Smith was actually insane, though not so adjudged, or if the person who signed the deed was not the Smith who owned the title, in other words, if the deed had been forged. Any of these conditions would render the deed void. None would necessarily be evident from an inspection of the record of the deed. It takes a considerable degree of skill and training to determine such matters. And when the Title Insurance and Trust Company issues a policy of title insurance to you, that policy insures you against loss arising from the existence of any of the defects I have mentioned. Thus, it is apparent that the title insurance policy insures much more than just a record title.
For the first time, an individual owner took over Santa Catalina Island, the American captain Thomas Robbins, and now began its use as a rancho and later as a pleasure resort. Few people lived there. The Indians who had made it their home had long since been removed to the mainland. This forced migration of the island Indians from one of the other Channel Islands furnished a fascinating and little-known chapter in their history. The barren, rocky spit of San Nicolas. It is the most remote of the islands off Santa Barbara, and because of its location far out in the open sea, its Indian inhabitants were among the last to be removed from the islands by the padres of the Franciscan missions. It was on this last trip that the story began.
Say there, Padre. You all aboard?
Si, Capitan. Just a moment.
Well, hurry up. The wind's coming up. I want to get away from these rocks. The island is treacherous.
Last one is coming on board now. There, he's up. All right, Capitan. You can weigh anchor now.
None too soon. Looks like a bad blow's coming up, all right. All right, men. Up sail. Up sail. Up sail. Weigh anchor. I'll be glad to get out of this, into the channel, even with this heavy seas running.
Seems to be some commotion.
Huh? The Indians seem to be cutting up a bit. Probably don't want to leave their island. Well, I don't know why.
No, it seems to be just one woman. She's screaming about something.
Doesn't want to leave, no doubt. Women especially are funny that way. Now you take
Roberto! Roberto, what is it? What's the trouble?
Wait a minute, Padre.
Don't bother, Padre. She'll calm down a minute. It'll be all right.
There seems to be something wrong with her. Perhaps we'd better wait.
Padre, Capitan, stop the ship. We'll have to put back.
Put back? Listen, mister, we'll not put back. I'm getting as far away from these rocks as I can, as quick as I can.
No, Padre, you've got to stop this ship.
What's wrong, my son?
That woman has left her baby on the island.
What?
See, in the rush of loading, she left her baby.
Capitan, you must turn back.
Padre, it may mean the lives of every person on board. Wind's getting stronger every minute. The sea's running, and those rocks.
Capitan, in the name of heaven, turn back.
But Padre, it's too late now.
Look, the woman, she's broken the way. She's climbing on the rail. She's going to jump into the sea.
No, stop her, stop her.
Stop!
Too late. There she goes.
Madre de Dios. And her little baby.
May the Lord have mercy on her soul.
Now that we brought him back here to Santa Barbara, Padre, what will you do with these Indians?
He will be given homes on the mission lands. The children put into schools. He'll have a chance to be civilized for the first time.
Then, you're through with my services?
Oh, no, Capitan. We're going back to the island, to San Nicolas.
But why? You mean the woman?
Si, the woman. And her baby.
But I tell you, it just isn't possible that she could be alive.
Miracles do happen, my son. It is just possible. And it's just possible that her baby may have survived, too. At any rate, we must try.
All right. I'll be ready to sail in the morning.
Hola, Capitan. Here are the supplies the Padre sends for your journey to the island tomorrow.
Si, gracias. Say, what's all the commotion in town? Heard a lot of yelling and excitement.
Oh, haven't you heard? It's gold. They discovered gold up north on the Sacramento River.
Gold?
See, bushels of it, they say. Just lying around loose. There for anybody who gets it first.
Great Caesar, gold.
See?
Men, attention, you lazy salties. To your posts. Get ready to hoist sail. We're sailing right away.
But the Padre.
Blast the Padre, man. There's gold to be had, and we're sailing north tonight.
When the ships of the port turned north in a mad rush for gold, the search for the lost woman of San Nicolas was abandoned. For many years, her existence was forgotten. Only the half-remembered story remained to be told and retold. Then, one day, almost 20 years later...
Padre, on the last tack in, we stopped for an hour at the little island of San Nicolas.
San Nicolas?
You remember, don't you?
Si, I remember. May God rest her soul.
No, Padre. I think she's still alive.
Alive? But Roberto...
I know it sounds fantastic. But out there on that lonely, desolate island, we found unmistakable signs of human habitation. Primitive, Indian habitation. Nothing you would expect to be left by a passing fisherman.
You're sure of this, Roberto?
Absolutely.
Then we'll start immediately. Organize a searching party to go out to San Nicolas.
Padre, it's no use. We'll never be able to find her on this desolate mountain.
Roberto, she's here. Each time we've tried and failed, I've become more convinced than ever that she's here. We found the evidence.
See, but where is she? We've combed almost every foot of the island. We've yelled out our lungs. Surely she would see us or hear us.
I think she does. I think she's hiding from us.
Hiding from us? But why?
Because she has been alone here for 20 years now. No doubt her mind is affected. She's probably returned to a primitive mental state. I think perhaps...
Wait. What was that?
Sounds like a dog howling.
See. It seems to come from behind that rock. Come, Padre.
Madre de Dios.
Great heavens, Padre. Look.
See, it is she.
But she looks more like an animal.
Poor creature, just sitting there next to her wild dog, staring at us.
Look, Padre, look. She smiles.
See, she has some human memory left even after tortures of 20 years. Come, we must take to the boat and bring her at last back to life. Found at last was the lost woman of San Nicolas, whose love for her long-dead baby caused her 20 years of animal-like living on the lonely isle of San Nicolas. So was closed an amazing chapter in California history. Now began the growth of the modern islands, either as ranchos or as pleasure resorts. Santa Catalina passed through both stages and through a number of ownerships. Captain Robin sold his island rancho to Jose Maria Covarrubias of Santa Barbara, who passed it on to Albert Packard in 1853. The next owner was James Lick, a wealthy gentleman with great philanthropic interests. In fact, some people thought he was a bit too philanthropic.
James, I never heard of such a thing. You know what people are saying about you behind your back.
No, what are they saying, my friend?
That you're plumb loony, that's what. Lord's sake, with all that money, you busy every minute of the day thinking up ways of giving it away.
Well, I can't use it all myself, George. Why not put it where it'll do the most good?
All right. I'm your friend. I understand that you got a big heart. Most folks can understand some of the things you've done, like the old lady's home, orphan asylum, library association. But folks begin to talk when you started that society for the prevention of cruelty to animals.
Oh, but George.
I know. Folks ought to be kind to animals. It's all right with me if you want them to. But now this last thing, that's too much for me even.
You mean my observatory for the study of the stars?
You mean them telescopes for stargazing? It's throwing money down a rat hole.
But, George, astronomy's a great science.
What can you learn from looking at them stars? James Lick, the whole world's going to laugh at you for putting money in them telescopes.
But the world didn't laugh at James Lick. Instead, his name is perpetuated in the Great Lick Observatory, where many great discoveries have been made. Now Santa Catalina passed into the hands of George R. Chateau, who founded the town of Avalon and built a hotel. In 1892, the land went to William Banning, son of the famous Phineas Banning, and he, together with his brothers and sisters, organized the Santa Catalina Island Company and started to develop the island into one of the world's greatest meccas for vacationers. In 1919, William Wrigley Jr. bought it and completed the work. Today, the Emerald Isle that offered safe harbor to the hardy seamen of Juan Cabrillo, Vizcaíno, and Captain Shaler is an island paradise for pleasure seekers, known the world over. Such is the story of progress, and such is the romance of the Ranchos.
In a moment, Frank Graham will be back to tell you about his story for next week. When I first read the script of the story we've just finished telling, I couldn't help thinking how much more interesting my next visit to Catalina Island is going to be than my last one. For when I enter Avalon Harbor, I'll see a new and different sight. The island as it looked to Cabrillo and Vizcaíno, arriving in their primitive little sailing ships. I'll picture in my mind's eye the shore as it looked in those days before the modern buildings and roads and piers were built, and see on the beach the native Indians that Cabrillo's navigator thought were Chinese. There'll be a brand new thrill to this always thrilling trip. The fact is that all of us connected with these broadcasts have found new interest in scores of Southern California places and communities through learning about their colorful histories. And the Title Insurance and Trust Company of Los Angeles will feel well repaid if you listeners discover a similar added pleasure in Southern California through hearing these stories. And now, Frank, what's the story for next week?
Next week, we're going to tell you the romantic true story of Hugo Reed, the Scotchman who came here to win the great Rancho Santa Anita and the hand of a beautiful Indian girl. It's a story with laughter and tears, drama and high adventure, and you won't want to miss it. So until then, this is your wandering vaquero, Frank Graham, saying, Hasta la vista, señoras y señores.
The Romance of the Ranchos, a presentation of the Title Insurance and Trust Company of Los Angeles, featuring Frank Graham as the wandering vaquero, is dramatized by John Dunkel and produced by Ted Bliss, with special music arranged by Irwin Yo. Bob Lamont speaking. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
That's your old-time radio fix for this week. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Be sure to subscribe to The Chronic Rift on iTunes or visit us frequently at chronicrift.com.
Hit it! Ding, a dink-a-doo, a dink-a-dee, a dink-a-doo. What a voice! What a voice! Simply means ink. A dink-a-doo, a dink-a-dee. Good night, folks. Signing off.
26 miles across the sea, Santa Catalina is a-waiting for me. Santa Catalina, the island of romance.